My name's John Williams. I'm a former executive in the electricity industry, and my question comes about electrification of the world, because the International Energy Agency in their report of last year said the only way the world can be energised and stay within the 2 degrees temperature rise limit is if we electrify the world. And they have set some targets, and 2 targets that are very important. One is by 2050, the world will need to be 30% electrical, and of that electrical component, 70% will have to be renewable
John,
energy.
Are we getting the questions in?
Yeah, I'm getting there. It's very important for the question. The second target is by 2100, the world will have to have zero carbon electricity. Now, the International Energy Agency hasn't just set the target, they have set how we have to do it. And one of the markets that will have to be totally electrified is motor vehicles. So my question is, what are the plans of the various parties to electrify motor vehicles in New South Wales?
Thank you. Rob?
Well, certainly we encourage the rollout of electric vehicles. I mean, it's up to manufacturers as to what they determine to produce, but certainly one of the great opportunities for certainly grid operators is, in fact, the saviour of the grid would be electric vehicles. We know the internal combustion engine is hopelessly inefficient and in the use of fuel. So by all means, let's have more electric vehicles. I'm not sure that the role of government is necessarily to produce them, but if there's infrastructure required, you know, that's certainly something we should talk about.
Are you able to hear?
Oh, okay, yeah, so in relation to buying them, certainly we've introduced new, as part of our government resource efficiency policy, we've introduced new standards in relation to, actually for the first time, enforceable standards on government agencies in terms of their efficient use of resources, including vehicle purchasing. We're not mandating the purchase of electric vehicles because at the moment Teslas are probably not the appropriate thing for ministers and other public servants to be driving around given the cost. But certainly, you know, as they become affordable, that's certainly something we should do.
Mark?
Oh, just one comment that it's really essential to require people who have electric vehicles to charge them with renewable energy. And at present, there is no attempt in this direction. I mean, this can be done in different ways, requiring, for example, green power to be purchased if people don't have solar PV or don't have access to renewable energy charging at public facilities, which is possibly a role for government. But this needs to be addressed, and one way would be to have special plugs for electric vehicles. It's probably a bit late now, so that they can't just be attached to ordinary power supplies that are run off fossil fuels like coal. But anyway, it's all running away at present.
Justin?
Well, we've got a fabulous electrified transport option, particularly in Sydney, and it's called the train network. And I think sometimes when we think about the future and renewable energy, we get very excited. I was at a solar-powered charging station that opened up in Ballina late last year, and it's very exciting to see, and in regional areas cars are essential. But of course we've got to be facilitating the ability for people not to be so reliant on vehicles. We can't use vehicles as much as we probably do now and live a great life, uncongested life, peaceful, happy life. We can create a great electrified train network that can really help as we manage this transition to electrification and don't put the added stresses on that potentially give coal an additional leg up with the network as we move across to electrification of personal vehicles.
James?
Yeah, just very briefly, I do agree with Justin that there are other options for electrified transport other than just motor vehicles. Having said that, I was in the United States last year and I went to a Tesla showroom. I didn't get to drive one of them. I sat in the car. They are I'm not trying to make an ad for them, but they are unbelievable vehicles sitting inside them. They feel completely different from any other form of transport I've ever experienced. I really feel that they are the future, together with driverless technology and so on, and I think there definitely will be a role for government to play when they do become of a sufficient scale that they're affordable, that you get the battery issues worked out, make sure the safety issues are worked out. I think there will be a role for government, not in manufacturing them, and obviously, of course, we don't really have much of a car industry left in Australia now, but there will be a role for government in terms of providing incentives to use them through transport lanes, potentially through tolls, and then, of course, through electricity access points. So that's something that's very much on the Labor Party's radar, and I think as the technology develops, I think there is a role to play for government in making it easier for people to afford and use those more environmentally responsible vehicles.
I'll just extend that a bit. Question to Mark. Is the grid ready for electric cars? Have we built the right parts or the wrong parts?
Oh, I think the grid is ready for the beginning of an expansion of electric vehicles, all right. We do need some bits of technology which are quite easy to produce to allow a two-way flow of electricity between the electric vehicle and the grid in both directions, depending on time of day, and we would need probably some sort of device that could be programmable to make that easy, and that means we need a pricing system that is appropriate, and that's probably leading into the next question that we can probably deal with then.